Good morning. How are you? I'm going to give you a moment to get situated as we start this coffee this morning, but I am so excited to connect with you on this Friday morning. So, as you start to log on, as you start to connect in and chat with us, please say hello in the comments. If you're catching this video on the replay and you're just scrolling and tuning in, stop for a moment, say hi in the comments, check in on this Friday morning, and let me know how you're doing. It's a good day. It's a good day to have a good day, as they say. So I'm hoping you are also. I'm just going to take some big, deep breaths and drink my coffee while I wait for you to connect with us. I've got our mantra on today. When I went to breakfast this morning, I had a lot of people commenting on my shirts. And I don't know, Kelly, if you jump on and you hear this, you'll hear me talking about, because I talked, and if you're a part of it, good morning, Scott. How are you? I'm going to make these shirts. I really am, because I could have sold 4 of them at breakfast this morning. So I feel I really got to do that. How's your day, Scott? What's going on in your world? We'll wait for some more people to hang out with us. Oh. Anyway, that was the highlight. And then I'm going to talk about the other highlight of my morning in a moment, but I want more of us to join in on the conversation. So I'm going to wait for a second. But as you tune in, again, please say hi in the comments. Let me know you're hanging out on this Friday morning. It is Friday, right? Some days you just really lose. Yeah, I'm looking at my phone. Friday. The 25th of February. Is it the 25th of February already? Are you with me on this? This month. Helen, good morning. Yeah, time is a cruel, interesting beast. Maybe it's not cruel. Maybe it just feels cruel because we can't hold on to it. We can't control it. We can't, pardon me. Yeah, we can't do anything but be at its mercy, if that makes sense. And so time feels cruel, but time is, I guess it is what it is. Good morning, Cheryl. Coffee's hot. That's good. Ooh, I'm really bad with the mouse sometimes, or the non-mouse. I should use the mouse. Good morning, Cheryl. Call it What the Fuck Friday. Yeah, and I always thought too, like, because we're sort of switched things up a little bit, is it could be Fuck It Friday also. Good morning, April. How are you, my friend? Angie, good morning. You're here. Gang's all here. Good to see you guys. How's your Friday? What do you got planned for the weekend? Kel, good morning. Happy belated birthday. I mean, I saw you on your birthday, but happy birthday again. Friends, give Kelly a shout out today in the comments. Wish her happy birthday. She's here with us on the reg. So yeah, how's your Friday going? How's your week been? I know that we sort of touch base beginning of the week, middle of the week, and end. Just want to know how your week has been. How have you felt this week? It's been an up and down one for me. I think they're all like that anymore. But is anybody here watching 1883? Okay, so this, if you're not familiar with it, is the prequel to Yellowstone. So it's written and created by the same guy, Taylor Sheridan, who created Yellowstone. And I don't know, this guy, I don't like, he's got kind of that, okay, I'm going to sound like a jerk when I say this, but just roll with me on it, okay? So the guy, Taylor Sheridan in real life, he plays a character on Yellowstone. If you're familiar with Yellowstone, he plays the guy who comes in, I can't think of his name, but rides the really incredible cutting horses, and he's the one that takes Jimmy down to Texas. You know who I'm talking about? So if you haven't, Google him. So he's the guy who created it, and he has also created 1883, which I'm pretty sure I was just introduced in episode 7 to who his character will be in this show too. But 1883, my friends, is a beautiful series. It is harsh and raw like Yellowstone, but it is poetic and beautiful. Like the writing in 1883, which is narrated by the one character in the show, is, oh my gosh, you guys, it is epic. And there was this scene in one of the episodes this morning that I feel like is new relationship goal level. So, okay, the literal of this, you're going to think I'm totally crazy, but I don't know, that's the power of incredible writing. That's the power of creativity and the power behind um, just that creation piece, which always makes me laugh. So anyway, this character, it's just so good, and I don't want to give it away to you, but the moment this morning that was just freaking epic to me, that I was like, that right there, that's what I want. And so basically they're crossing through the Great Plains, and um they have a storm coming. There's a tornado coming. So a tornado is going to blow through, and there's wagons and people walking and all this piece. And we're introduced into another character who is hands down one of the hottest men I've ever seen. Like, move over, Rip. This guy, he goes by Sam in the show. But he's an Indigenous man who is beautiful. Cheryl, I love Sam Elliott. Yeah. But I'm talking about Sam, the Indigenous man. And he is gorgeous. He's beautiful. And in the midst of this tornado blowing over them in this field, again, I don't want to give it all away to you, but the female character, Elsa is her name in the show, chooses to kiss this man while the tornado's blowing up to help calm her fear inside of her, right? Because I mean, a tornado is blowing over them. So keep with me. So as the tornado is blowing over the two of them laying in this field, she kisses this man to calm the crazy inside of her, the fear that is so crazy that of this tornado blowing over them. And this moment, and she turned this most scary thing into this most beautiful thing. It was beautifully done, beautifully written. And I feel like, friends, that's our new level. I want make out in a tornado level relationship goal. I don't know. It was epic this morning. That's how I started my day. So that's the mood I'm in. Tragic romance. That's my jam. So there we go. How are you? Adele says, hope you had a great week getting ready for our show tonight. A tribute to Johnny Cash at the Heritage Inn. Yay! That will be so good. So glad you're having a show. That's amazing. Kathy says, week's been pretty good. Awesome. Helen's watching it. Good series. I don't know. I don't know if it's fair to say that I love it more than Yellowstone, but I kind of do. I mean, Yellowstone was and will continue to be like rip roaring raw in your face. 1883 is raw and beautiful and this poetic thing behind it. I don't know. It's hard to say. Adele, what time for Johnny Cash tonight? Are there still tickets available? People in this neck of the woods would like to know. Going to be a good show. So that's that. So there's that. So I feel like all the writing that I will be doing for my clients today will feel like a poetic, tragic love story. Get ready for it. Get ready for it. You want me to send you a poetic, tragic text today? Tragic love text? Yeah. Yeah. I sure can. I sure can. So that's the strange mood that I'm waking up in a movie's dream, wishing for a beautiful Indigenous man. That's just the way it is today. Why not? Fuck it Friday. What else you got going on? How you feeling going into the weekend? You got any plans? Anything else coming up? We know there's that show. Helen says coming up is 6666. Like that's a show that's coming up? Or just where you got a feeling, an omen? Just kidding. Yeah, that's what I think about that today. Yesterday, I had a cool experience. I posted about it on, if you're a Facebook watcher, you will have seen I shared this story on Facebook yesterday. And it was just kind of cool. It was one of those, you know how I talk a lot about connecting, and connection and the importance of human interaction in our world, hence the premise behind our virtual coffee club in the first place. And so yesterday, I went for a walk downtown. I'm on the road for business, and I went for a walk downtown in the community that I'm visiting. And it was really interesting because I stopped at this. They have sort of this pillar on the side of the road that has a plaque with some history of the street of this place. And so I was just stopping to look, and they have a picture of what it looked like in the early 1900s versus, as you could obviously look around the pole and you see where we were at today. So I stopped to read the historical plaque on this post, and I just was admiring, I guess, the history of this street, and looking down the street, just sort of imagining what that would have looked like in that time. Probably helpful in that I'm fully immersed in this 1883 series. So I'm thinking a lot about that time frame of life. And so just imagining that street in the early 1900s and that time frame and our world at that time and where we were. And this man comes up and stops and commented on me reading the post. And he proceeded to ask if it was okay if he could have a conversation with me, which I thought was interesting because I don't think we ever ask permission to talk to people. And so he stuck out his hand and introduced himself to me. He said his name is Nelson. I introduced myself to him, and we had a conversation, and we talked a lot about learning history of different places and how it interested both of us. And we talked about urbanization and colonialism and just like this really random, crazy conversation. And I learned that Nelson had moved to this area about 18 months ago from Mumbai, India. And so we were talking a bit about the cultural differences and different pieces, and how a lot of times he thanked me for having a conversation because it had been traditional in his time here that most people would dismiss him on the street or not hold into conversation. And he had people who had been not kind to him in different ways. And he never said it in a complaining way. He never said it in a blaming way. He just said it in a matter of fact way, in thanking the exchange that we had yesterday. And it got me thinking about so many things, about how many moments in life we can just breeze through. I could have brushed him off easily. I could have not stopped to read that plaque. Like, I don't know. I guess I have these moments because I'm in that poetic frame of mind today. I already warned you, where you just sit in it and you're like, it's interesting the way the universe is weaving these moments in and out of our lives, and whatever those may look, good, bad, or otherwise. And so I had this great conversation, and Nelson had invited me. He wanted to take and buy me a coffee to continue the conversation. And I wish a little bit I had more time, that I could have done that. One, I never have. Two, I was not getting a weird, one of those, when you meet someone strange and maybe they're hitting on you or they're inviting you for coffee for different intentions. I did not get that feeling at all. It was just this human who was so pleased to be interacting and connecting with another human. And so I couldn't go for the coffee, but I thanked Nelson for this exchange that we had in this conversation that really was about this wild variety of things that I'm not even sure, but it was neat. It was interesting. And I challenge you going into this weekend to, and again, it becomes that real catchphrase, but like, be in the moment in as many moments as you can. And I know that that's not easy. I am guilty of flying through moments with probably my eyes shut most of the time because we are busy, and we are busy being busy. And we've had this last I mean, I had an interesting conversation with a friend yesterday, and they were saying that they find it difficult in going out in the world, having people come into their bubble and talk to them, even if it's like for whatever the reason or purpose might be. They just felt like they were really guarding that bubble that they had put around themselves. And I one made me wonder about more of us in that in this past couple of years, because we've been more isolated, because we've been pulled back, because we've been bombarded with this language of isolation, that we've created these sort of walls and bubbles around us that it's hard for people to penetrate through them in comfort. And I think that traditionally, in most of the things that I've ever read, is when you're pushing outside of your comfort zone, that's where your growth is happening. Good morning, Corey. And so challenging ourselves on that to allow people to penetrate the bubble a little bit, to find moments where you really sit in it. And then afterwards, the reflection on that, I think, is really fantastic because you can look back at that moment and find that gratitude in what that experience was brought to you. We might never ever know why, but I think that there was a reason that I turned down a particular street, that I stopped at a particular place, and that man stopped to have a conversation. And my hope is always that he left that conversation in the same frame of mind that I did, in that that was a cool moment. That made me feel good for the rest of the day because I feel like that human interactive connective piece was an essential piece of what I needed to experience in that moment. And I'm hoping that he had that same great experience. And I've always really loved the quote or the saying or the phrase, whatever the proper terminology is, of leaving something or someone in a better off place than when you first connected to it. So I've heard it a lot in if you volunteer with organizations or you sit, say, on a board of directors, or you be a part of something. It could even be your workplace, for example. And so coming into that scenario, you want to be open and vulnerable to what happens there. And then when you leave it, you're leaving it in a better place, leaving that situation, or say it's an organization or a fundraiser or something, in a better place than when you came in. And I feel like that's a true thing in relationships. You know, you hope that with people, you have this interaction with them, and that if that interaction comes to an end, because maybe it was for a small amount of time or longer or whatever that length looks like, is that you leave that person in a better place than when you found them, in whatever way, shape, or form. I think we're called to serve each other. We're called to lift each other up. Um, we're called to connect with people for goodness. Does that make sense? Maybe I shouldn't watch 1883 before I do coffee club in the morning, because now I want all my words to sound like the narrative of this show and just be so fucking poetic. But it's me. So it's going to be whatever falls out of this mouth. But I don't know, that's just sort of the feeling that I've got in the last couple of days is, how can we better serve each other? How can we show up for each other? How can we lift each other up? And how can we ensure that the interactions that we have with each other, we are making an effort, subconsciously or consciously, to leave that person feeling better than the moment before you came into that situation? That's sort of how I'm feeling today. Deep for a Friday, isn't it? I'll have to watch, I don't know. Maybe before the next coffee club, I'll watch a comedy so that I can be more funny, which if you're into comedy, here's another show I watched this week. Now, this person is particularly crass, a bit vulgar, and expresses herself very openly in, I guess I would say, a sexual way. So if any of those words make you feel uncomfortable that I just said, do not watch this comedy show. If you are someone like me who can find humor in all things, you would enjoy this comedy show. Her name is Ali Wong. You may have heard of her. I guess she was in a movie. I hadn't because pop culture is not my forte, but she's got her new comedy series or comedy show on Netflix, and I laughed my ass off. And she talks a lot about from a woman's perspective, I guess, but funnier than all get out. So if you're looking for a really good laugh that is like walks, it doesn't even walk the line. It flops right over onto the inappropriate side. Look that up. If you want a more poetic, tragic love weekend, tune into 1883. What are you watching these days? What's going on? I also binged Archive 81 recently. Loved it. If you enjoy the creepy, mind-bending, twisty, weird kind of show, Archive 81 is for you. Yeah. Now, I've had a few people recommend, I don't know if it's Finding or Watching or something, Anna. I've heard that that's a really good, like it sucks you in kind of series. So there you go. Corey, I'm checking. She is. Mike would also really enjoy watching this with you. Corey, trust me, hilarious, hilarious. Helen says, human compassion is the most important. I don't know how to say it. Thing that we have for one another in this lifetime. Yeah. And you know what? Compassion is an interesting word. I appreciate that you use that one also, Helen, because I think that my favorite combination of words in functioning as a human on this planet is compassionate curiosity. So I feel like when we lose compassionate curiosity, if you don't have curious attached to your compassion, that's when we start to lose each other. Does that make sense? So there's a lot of times when we can look at a situation, and it could be what's happening in our world right now. It could be like, and when I say that, I mean the pandemic side of things and the division and the hatred that's going on through there. Is compassionate curiosity allows you to stand back from it and be curious about where somebody is coming from. You know, somebody can say something outrageous or do something outrageous or be outrageous in a certain frame. But if you can't step back and just be curious for a moment, curious does not mean you condone. Curious does not mean you agree. Curious does not mean you're on board with whatever that situation is. Curious allows you to sit back and go, where do you think this is coming from? What do you think this behavior is triggered by? What do you think has happened in this person's life that led them to feel, act, be this way? Where do you think some of the foundation of that has come from? And it allows you in that space to just be curious enough that your compassion can step forward. And just again, because you have compassion for somebody, again, doesn't mean you condone a certain behavior. It means that you have heart from one human to another, right? We are brought on this world to love, to love. And that freaks a lot of people out. And we love people in different ways, and we love people on varying degrees, and different people we're going to love and be a part of in so many different ways. Like, it is the most complex, layered artichoke word of the world is love. But that's what we are called to do. And it's the hardest thing to do, especially when you disagree with someone, when you don't trust someone, when someone has hurt you. It is so freaking hard. But we have to keep pushing through with love. So stay curious, my friends. That's my advice for today. Look at me. I'm just rambling on like a wild woman. Stay curious, stay in love. And my challenge for you this weekend is try to live in the moment, as many moments as you can. And if it's one, great. If it's 50, amazing. But live in the moment in as many moments as you can this weekend. And I hope you have an amazing one. I really want to value your time. And because I'm in my 1883 poetic mind frame, I could ramble all fucking day, but I won't. I will leave you to this beautiful weekend. I hope you have a great one. I cannot believe this is the last weekend of February. I do not know where that went. Um, Crazy. We will see you back here on Monday morning. I do have a special guest joining us on Monday, and I'm so excited to introduce you to this fine man. It's Music Monday. So we have somebody joining us from the music industry, and we're going to tell you all about it, introduce you to him, and learn about his role in the music industry, which we don't probably think about on a more traditional basis, but I think it's going to be interesting. So I can't wait to share that with you on Monday morning. We will be back at 9 a.m. Mountain Standard Time. Have an amazing, amazing weekend, my friends. I just wish you so much love and cheers to you. We will see you Monday morning. Have a good one. And yeah, live in those moments.